Salute Knicks Nation. Let's react as the New York Knicks Summer League campaign has kicked off in Vegas, and the New York Knicks did not come out with a good start as they lose 86 to 104 against the Detroit Pistons, who were good tonight. The Detroit Pistons team was hitting threes, they were playing physical, they were getting a lot of separation, and the New York Knicks struggled early in the game. They had a decent fourth quarter, but the sting was out of the game by then. As we react tonight, welcome into the chat. What can we take away from this one? We'll give you our takeaways. Let us know what you saw. Pacome Dardier, I felt, was probably the best New York Knick. 17 points, 8 of 13, efficient. Only took 3 threes, hit one. Obviously, we've got to look at a lot of the new Knicks as well. Mohamed Diawara, James Nagy, Dink Pate, who, looks like he's going to be a fun player to watch. Dink Pate was creative with the ball. Diawara, I thought, was interesting defensively. I thought he had a couple of good moments with his length, wingspan. But Tyler Kolek really struggled. I thought struggled on the defensive side, but especially offensively. Kolek just couldn't get separation. And then, Knicks were down 32-46 at the half. I think this squad is definitely lacking some shot creation abilities, and we'll get into it tonight. We'll look ahead to Game 2 on Sunday. But first rule of Summer League, guys, it's Summer League, and definitely I don't overreact because we've seen, poor first games, slow starts in Summer League. I mean, these guys have just, come together. But there are some clear, weaknesses, deficiencies that a lot of these younger players have, and they're still a work in progress. I mentioned, Dardier. I thought Huck Porty obviously showed you why, he's an NBA rotation player. Big aerial Huck Porty had a couple of big blocks. Was very active on the glass as well. Aerial Huck Porty pulled in 5 rebounds, 2 offensive. Finished with 6 points. Missed a couple of free throws that he has to get better at, and clean up. I wasn't really impressed with Marjon Beauchamp. Obviously I'll save, my overarching reactions till the end of Summer League, but I think, Beauchamp's a guy who's a little rusty offensively, just doesn't have a whole lot of creation ability. Missed all 4 of his threes. Was a team worst, minus 24. I think, defensively we really struggled. Detroit, got to give them a shout out. Bobby Clintman is a guy who I've covered in the NBL. If you guys know, I was preaching for the Knicks to draft him. He slipped into the second round, but Bobby Clintman's an NBA player. Dennis Jenkins, an NBA player. Ron Holland, a lottery pick, who had, a stretch of serious rotation minutes in the NBA playoffs. He's an NBA playoff rotation player. So not going to overreact to this one. I think Detroit obviously got a lot more younger talent. That's a lot more, higher ceiling, I think, with their younger talent. But look, obviously they're a work in progress as a team trying to get better and win. And the Knicks are in contention mode right now. But that doesn't mean that, we can't be disappointed. Disappointed with a blowout loss like that. It was kind of not what I expected. But, there were some lineups that were really good defensively, actively getting after it. The Knicks got on a 7-0 run to start the fourth quarter. And I thought, if we could just hit a couple of shots, we could get on that run and make it interesting. But the Knicks just couldn't hit threes. Guys, we will break down the shot charts as well, but we'll cover some news as well because we had Mike Brown, Karl Anthony Towns, we had William Wesley, we had Leon Rose in the building, and some Knicks, Deuce McBride, Bridges, Cat out here as well. Dice Yoshimoto is with the squad as well, so it looks like he is going to be a holdover as well, as I see Chris Persianen gets that feeling that Dice is going to be sticking around. What are you guys' thoughts on that before we get further into it? Shez V says it was a brutal watch. Yeah. Drew Review says Ron Holland being allowed on a summer league just isn't fair. Absolutely agree with both of those. Ernest says we look horrible, the entire team. Shez V said Huck had a sweet block. Yep. Definitely Huck Porty. Look, defensively, Huck Porty's going to be our backup center, third string backup, working his way back from the meniscus. But I think, yeah, Huck Porty will have a couple of really good games in summer league, and then they might sort of shut him down. We'll see. Kevin McCullough. I think this was the full Kevin McCullough experience. You know, a little rusty finishing, but has, you know, that skill set to get separation, can get downhill. You saw his slashing abilities, rebounding as well. You know, Josh Hart discount version, 6 rebounds for K Mac, with 3 offensive, 13 points. Yeah, I thought it was an okay performance from Kevin McCullough. You know, missed a couple of bunnies. His 3-point shot is the swing skill. You know, 1 of 5 from downtown. So, you know, K-Mac's got to continue to work on that shot. But, you know, I believe Kevin McCullough is an NBA player. You know, he's not fully refined offensively by any means. You know, defensively is his calling card. But Kolek, you know, we're really got to talk further about Kolek because I don't think he really took his chance tonight. You know, you saw Dennis Jenkins, you saw Shaz Lanier get separation on him, and I think we just needed to hang our hat on defense. You know, I know this summer league squad's lacking some shot creation, and especially when Dink Pate, you know, is not starting. But you know, I would have liked to see a lot more from Kolek. Had a nice little floater game, missed a couple of his threes, but defensively and offensively. So offensively, couldn't get separation. It's a very physical environment. 10 fouls allowed. You know, summer league's basically a hackathon, but you got to be strong. You know, you got to be able to fight through it. You know, as you saw Huck Porty there get us on the board with the monster putback. You know, Huck Porty's going to continue to develop this season, but yeah, he's a great rebounder, is Huck Porty, with his length. But yeah, I was very underwhelmed with Kolek. That's probably my key takeaway. As Roberto said, what happened to Kolek playing poorly? I think he's experienced enough to, you know, to perform on this stage and in the NBA. I think you see some size, strength limitations, you know, up against a really physical team. But also when Kolek's playing, he's a pass first point guard, and he's playing with guys that aren't really, you know, good shot makers. So you're forced to see Kolek have to create by himself, and that's not his bread and butter, guys. You know, Kolek's a guy who's, you know, you need to set a good pick, roll hard. He'll find you, and I thought he had a few good dimes. You see that one there, Huck Porty with the nice little hook. I thought this was probably his best read of the entire game, guys. Salute to the chat. Welcome in. Reacting to the first Summer League game, a blowout loss, as we will be live post-game all Summer League games and are back at it on Sunday in our next game. Right. Yeah, I thought Kolek made a nice read in this one. Huck Porty with the little soft touch lefty hook floater. But yeah, you know, physical-wise, they were guarding Kolek really tight. You know, and you see the limitations, fam. Almost feel like the NBA game is probably a little bit easier for him to get better spacing. You know, obviously you got better shooters, you know, in the NBA squad and all of that. Hobo Joe, like Diawara. Diawara is the best player on the team. He should be starting. Yeah, man, Diawara, work in progress offensively, but defensively, you see why the New York Knicks drafted the man. You know, definitely looks like a two-way player in the making. Had the nice big heave to get the 55 feet buzzer. Muhammad Diawara. Looks like we're going to see a lot more of him. Maybe he sticks around, and he could be a guy that gets one of the two ways, right? My expectation is that he was going to go back to France, but if he continues to look solid on the two way, he might stick around. Um, but for me, Pacome Dardier was our best player on the team. Don't forget, Dardier is only 19, and he's going to turn 20 later this month. Jake Sharp says, I like McCullough, was aggressive, has to learn, but can definitely see him eventually going for that bench role. Yeah, definitely. I feel like these are the moments where you need to just see flashes and see what can translate. I mean, you see Dardier in the open floor, his length. Once he gets stronger, once the 3-point ball gets better, I think Dardier is going to be legit. Looks super fluid out there. Looks like a fluid athlete. But McCullough as well. I like his little hezzy dribble when he used his size to get to the basket and finish a couple of times. And I do think that McCullough should have had a better stat line as we bring the box score back up. Right, Hukporti, the only starter not in double figures, but Hukporti was probably our best defensive player. Got 2 blocks, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 2 assists, just 1 turnover. So that's progress from Hukporti, only 1 turnover. Tyler Kolek, the man that shouldn't be turning it over, had 5 turnovers, fam. Anyone else stick out to you? Diawara Naji. I thought Naji showed that he's going to be a solid drop center. If he can be disciplined, had a nice little spin move. I think backing his man down. I think Naji's hands look clean. He looks solid around the basket. He doesn't look uncoordinated. Obviously had limited exposure tonight. 11 minutes. Didn't pull in a rebound. Hit 50% of his free throws. 11 minutes. James Naji, I thought he looked okay. Set good screens. Finished with a -2 with 4 points. He had a putback as well. SB says this is our 3rd string. Most of these guys won't play next year, barring injuries. Yeah, I feel like injuries will factor in a lot, but I think maybe Dardier, maybe McCullough or Hukporti. Kolek, you think? I want to hit on that in a minute, but I think Kolek, the writing's on the wall for next season because they're looking at veterans, right now. Just Nick says Hukporti needs to play with better players. Yeah, Hukporti is still developing, 23, but Hukporti's a guy who's like 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes max, in a real high leverage game, which is fine. He's a backup right now, and he's going to continue to get better. But I like shot blocking, man. It's a good luxury. You take Mitchell Robinson and and Cat off the floor, and you bring in a guy like a Hukporti, 2 blocks tonight in just 20 minutes. You like his ability to challenge those shots. Eckham Joe says, how did Kolek regress? Look, I'm not going to sit here and say Kolek regressed. I feel like it's just a bad matchup. His weaknesses are always there. We know nothing's changed from that. Detroit, very physical team. You see the difference tonight between lottery talent and, talent that was late first, early second round. But also your teammates really factor in. Kolek with 4 other NBA players, and he's able to use his strengths. But at the moment, when he's playing with 4 other guys that can't space the floor out, I mean, you got to be realistic, guys. He's playing with Marjan Beauchamp, Hukporti, McCullough, who's not a real floor spacer either, and Beauchamp and Dardier. But I it's no excuse because I do want to see Kolek take care of the rock. Those 5 turnovers were definitely poor. As I bring up the shot charts, I think this tells the story. Look at Detroit on the right. the 3-point shooting and the spacing. Look how many mid-range shots the New York Knicks needed to take on the left, right? So we're looking at the left and all the bricks that the Knicks put up from behind the arc, and all of the 3-point shooting that Detroit had. Look, Detroit drafted really well. I wanted the Knicks to get Shaz Lanier. One of the reasons the Knicks, could have moved up was to select a couple of guys. Tyrese Proctor was there, Shaz Lanier, Kobe Breyer. We need some marksmen from behind the arc, and they had that tonight. Ron Holland got loose as well. Some separation, and Shaz Lanier let fly with that one. I thought the Knicks didn't play to their strengths either. We should have gone to Huck Porty a lot more down low. He's always rolling hard. I thought Huck Porty was available for the dish. I thought they miss him a lot of the time. I think Marjan had some tunnel vision there. He just needed to have a simple wraparound. And I think, everything I'm talking about tonight is just constructive. I'm not going to really, pile on young players. We all know what their weaknesses are and if they can cut it or not. But one of the reasons why, if you see Marjan Beauchamp, not take that next step, is because, his IQ, he's got athleticism and some good tools physically. But this is a basic wraparound pass that every young player should know. Once the shot blocker's following you, usually your big man is available for the wraparound dish. And Beauchamp missed that one. But fortunately, Huck Porty was there for the mop-up. And obviously this one, I think we needed to go to Huck Porty a lot more inside out. Right, we are lacking the perimeter creators right now in our Summer League starting five. And I think we needed to go more inside out. The good thing is with Huck Porty, though, man, we see a lot of pick and roll. The guy has a great motor, and continues to set screens. He'll set another screen. He'll do it again and again and again. Runs the floor super well for a big. Probably our biggest steal in the draft so far, in my opinion, with Huck Porty slipping to 58. This was a guy that was going to, enter the draft 2 years ago, back in 2022. Suffered the Achilles injury, and that kind of delayed his draft process for 2 years. And we were able to get him with the final pick of the draft. But if Huck Porty had stayed healthy, he was on track to, get drafted probably around, early 30s, maybe even late first round. So yeah, I feel like we've got to play better to our strengths right now. And look, the 3-point shooting ain't that right now. Maybe they need to switch up the starting lineup a little bit. I would take either McCullough or Beauchamp out, because you need spacing. You need the 3-point shooting. Fortunately, this is what we're getting with a lot of the senior players, the senior club, and all of those bricks there. So maybe Luka Schuka might get a shot. He looked like a fluid athlete, Luka Schuka. What did y'all think about him? But J-Dub in the house. Salute, Darren. J-Dub says, I like Dardier, and I feel like Dink Pate can get that two-way. Kolek was very disappointing. Yeah, agree with all of that. Dardier, really solid, fluid athlete, 17 points. You feel like he's a jump shot away, because he's got a beautiful release, a really high release as well, that he can get that off. I think once Dardier works on his little creation, maybe get a little, a hezzy dribble. He's got the step back, and just working on finishing in traffic. And I think he can take that next step. So if I'm Mike Brown, who was in the building, ladies and gentlemen, Mike Brown was sitting there, courtside. Let's pull up the graphic. We have Mike Brown there with Cat Um, if I'm Mike Brown, I walk away thinking, all right, there's something there with Dardier. There's something there with McCullough, and there's definitely something there with Diawara and Hukporty. Naji, I want to see more of. I really feel like, there's a lot more we can see with Naji to make a full evaluation. Ryan Dunn, yep, that was a guy I really, really, really wanted us to pick up. Um, Susan says they will get better because the pressure to make a spot will take effect. Yeah, that's a great point. Feel like you're playing with nerves, first game, all of that. We've seen this before, man. Remember RJ Barrett's first Summer League game? People were ready to ship him out already. You remember Porzingis' first Summer League game? Would he put up like 6 points? You know, but obviously, man, we're starved of ball right now, man. Feels like we haven't played in a minute, right? We're searching for any key takeaway we can get, but look, there's no doubt the most disappointing thing was our defense, poor creation and shooting. But individually, I thought Tyler Kolek, considering he should have been the most ready-made guy, was the most disappointing. I mean, the Knicks shot 22.2% from downtown, right? Only 50% from the field. We let Detroit shoot 65% from the field, right? You're not going to win any ball game letting a team shoot 65%. So that's free throw. From the field goal was 48%, which is basically not that much worse, right? So yeah, if I'm Mike Brown, I'm looking at Beauchamp. I don't think that he's eligible for a two-way. So if I'm Marjon Beauchamp, man, I really need to turn it up and show that I've been around. Like, this is a guy who's 24 years old, going, I think 25 even, and he's been in the NBA for 4 years now, 3 years, and has been on the Milwaukee Bucks rotation, right? So he should be coming in and making a better showing. Dardier, we know he's only 1 year into his career right now. Some really good flashes tonight of a two-way player. For me, Hukporty's fine. He's going to be the backup, third string or backup, and vie for minutes. Naji, you want to see a lot more of. Dink Pate and Diawara, intriguing, I'll say. Not gonna fly off the handle and say something that's not really there. But Diawara looked like a really disruptive defensive player as advertised. Dink Pate didn't get enough minutes, but I think obviously he comes with some creation ability. He can get downhill, and I want to see him get more minutes. If Kolek's struggling, what did y'all think about that? Key on TV, 100% agree. Bobby Clintman, I think he might get more playing time. Yeah, he's legit, man. He is legit. I've interviewed Bobby Clintman on the channel. Y'all can check out that video, man. I cover Bobby Clintman in the NBL. Great guy. Really, really, really fun player. 6'10". I think, he could be an OG Anunoby light. Especially if the 3-point ball comes. 6'10", great in transition as well. Monkey wrench built. Yeah, we couldn't hit the broadside of the barn, man. Yeah, we need to play to our strengths, inside out. And I think we needed to get more side-to-side dribble action, get the defense shifting, What happens when the defense is overplaying, y'all? You need to shift them around. And what happened was that they were in every single passing lane. Like, this was Detroit's little get back. Because whilst, this game doesn't really mean anything to us, think if you're Detroit's perspective, they're like, hey, the Knicks sent us packing. We want to get our little get back. And so Detroit came out, they were physical, but they were definitely utilizing the 10 fouls. They were in every passing lane, and they were physical. But I think their players really, have cohesion. Like David Wood says, Pistons look like They practiced for summer league. Knicks look like they just met. Yep. I thought Kolek was on the ball a little too much. He should have got off it. Tried to get dribble penetration, but their guards were just having him in a straitjacket. So that's what I saw. Um, Now, taking away some positives, I like Kevin McCullough's ability to uh, create a little for himself. So I feel like I want to see a lot more of that. McCullough needs to set picks for Kolek, I think, and maybe they could run some two-man action. Right now, it's a big setting the screen for Kolek every single time, and that's kind of It's creating a lot more congestion, and the Knicks just couldn't get that secondary pass out of the short roll, right? So I did want to see a bit more of Kevin McCullough on the ball. But Kevin McCullough, he's got to find his shot too. He had a couple of nice open pull-ups that he wasn't able to knock down, and you know once you're able to kind of knock those down, then um, the defense really gets in its in its spot, and you push them back right on their spot. Now, continue to shout you guys out, reacting to the Knicks' first summer league game, a blowout loss, but more important things ahead, ladies and gentlemen. Let's not get too down about this situation. We've got Leon Rose and new coach Mike Brown. If you're Mike Brown, what would you have taken away from this one, man? You'd be like, Leon. Well, actually, Leon's right there next to him. You'd be like, yo, Leon, go get me that point guard. Go get me another point guard, Leon. James Bond says they have no chemistry. Uh, Roberto Torres, CT, we need to be super critical. We are going for a chip. If the kids are not ready, better to know now than when it counts. This game screams, go get me Marcus Smart. Um, I definitely understand and feel what you're saying, Roberto. Yeah, you got to be critical where you need to be. I mean, Kolek's an older prospect. Um, all I'm saying is it's one summer league game. He comes out in the second game and lights it up, and then you're like, we can all take a deep breath. Um, but if he continues to perform like he did tonight for all of the summer league games, then I'll be the first person sitting here saying, yo, put him on the shelf for another year and then see what we can do. But I still agree that we need another point guard. Um, I just feel like nobody should be given up on Kolek based on one summer league game. You know, you could definitely be very critical and feel like he's not ready this year because we are contending and we are competing, and that's 100% fair. Um, but I do feel like it's also a point guard. Needs four other good players. Kolek's not a shot creator. He's a pass first point guard, and if four of the other guys can't space the floor out and struggle to create their own shot, then I think yeah, a lot is at the feet of Tyler Kolek. Um, but yeah, he's got to definitely fix those turnovers. Definitely got to fix those turnovers. Um, AP Salute says, I really hope Mike Brown fixes the 3-point D. Definitely. Deshaun Wilson says Dardier was good. With better talent around him on the real Knicks second unit, he could be good. Yeah, Deshaun, he was really our first round selection. And say what you want about Kolek. Dardier is the guy who has the most potential as a two-way player in the NBA. Look at his movement there off the ball. Runs the floor really well. Is only 19 still. Yeah, about to turn 20 this month. Once he gets in that weight room as well and puts on some more strength, his length is definitely important for us. And I like the potential of McCullough and Dardier. I feel like they are NBA players. Beauchamp, I think now's the time where he really needs to show, right? I don't want to be too critical of Beauchamp because I haven't really seen enough of him as a Knicks fan. Bucks fans might be able to say a lot more because they drafted him and got a better look at him. With Beauchamp, I feel like, look, he's behind so many different wings right now. His opportunities might be limited, fam. If we're looking at Beauchamp and we're looking at our main squad, I mean, I'd prefer to prioritize Dardier personally, and possibly even Kevin McCullough. Now we've got Dink Pate, we've got Mohamed Diawara. At what point is it going to be a squeeze with Marjan Beauchamp, and getting enough minutes for him to develop? Thing is, if you ain't the finished product, you need minutes. You need minutes to continue to develop. There's the G League, Dardier, Colette, McCullough, and that they're going to feature heavy in the G League this season because they ain't going to get many minutes behind these guys. I mean, now we're talking about Josh Hart coming off our bench. That's why our bench is so much stronger right now. With Josh Hart coming off the bench, I could barely see maybe limited minutes for Dardier. Maybe Mike Brown really likes him, finds him some situational minutes, on some back-to-backs. Hopefully. I could see Mike Brown like McCullough as well. Some older prospects. We saw some Trevor Keels, definitely. Susan says Mike Brown's taken notes, right? Knowing that he was in the house, that may have also made them more nervous. Yeah, it's hard to say nerves. I feel like these guys are pros, man. I just got to give credit to Detroit. Yuri Ark with the super chat. Appreciate ya coming through. Got the streets buzzing. Yuri Ark says, can we please, for all love that is holy, stop overreacting? Like it's not hard. It's game one. Let's see how the others do. Kolek needs more time. Yeah, fam, I just feel like, well, personally, it comes from me. It comes from a place, a good place where you want to see your players, show that they can push for minutes and they can back up and things like that. But yeah, so development's not linear, or linear. Development isn't linear. It's like up, it's down, it's it's all around, and you definitely need more than one summer league game. You know, before making sweeping conclusions. Right now, we're reacting to the glimpses, or I'm reacting to these glimpses. But these guys want to be pros in the league, right? They've got to be held to a higher standard, and hopefully they come out in the second game, and perform a lot better. But I think one of the things that I really like with Tibbs, and I appreciated with Tibbs, he always said, you can affect the game in other ways. We all know if your jump shot ain't fallen, you have the ability when you're on that floor to affect the game in other ways. And most of the time that's on the defensive end. 50-50 balls, loose balls, get scrappy. Detroit did all of those things tonight. We did not. They were getting their own free throw misses, guys. How frustrating was that? Not only did we foul a lot, but we were giving up open rebounds off a free throw miss as well, which was really, really crazy. We see the front row view, fam. We had Gerson Rosas on the left. Let me pull it up on the bigger screen. We have Deuce. We had Mikhail, Cat. We have Cat Senior out here, and William Wesley, all on the sidelines. Chris says CT Beauchamp was the leading scorer today for most of the game. Give the guy some credit. Notice they switched him from forward to point guard position since Kolek was turning it over. Yeah, you look, the jury's still out for me with Beauchamp. I'm just saying, he's been in the league 3 seasons now, like 3 seasons NBA experience. So, the bar is a lot higher for him. And like David said, the defense was poor tonight. But yeah, when you're playing with other players that struggle to create, it's easier for the defense. Um, Now, in terms of the system, now there's not much to take away. I don't really feel like we played a lot different. It was a lot of side-to-side handoff. Detroit was forcing us centrally, and they were getting into every single passing lane, and that's what I felt we needed some more high-low action. Right. I would like to see Huck Porty, instead of just setting the pick every time, flash to the middle and be a creative hub. Huck Porty's proven he can play make out of the short roll, and I felt like we needed to go to Huck Porty a lot more. He's one of the guys on this team that's physically imposing, and while the other guys weren't able to get separation, I felt like we needed to play off Huck Porty, 2-man game, as a hub in the short roll, and use his ability to set those bone crunching screens. And we definitely saw great screening from Huck Porty. We had a lot of screening action from Huck Porty. So no grades tonight, Buzzer. Just given our overall commentary on each guy. I will give a summer league grade though at the end of summer league. You know, and we do have 4 more games, guys. I see all the diehards in the building. You guys are on fire tonight. Um, there's no opinion correct or incorrect. You're entitled to your opinion. We always keep it respectful here. Everyone's entitled to their voice, and at the end of the day, there's high hopes for some of these guys to crack that rotation, fam. There is a shot that's actually available. We can't always say that about a contending team, fam. We need ball handling. Kolek didn't take that chance today. Let's see how he bounces back. One thing we might find out, and I think this could be possible, is Detroit could possibly be, one of the toughest teams that we play. I mean, I talk about Bobby Clintman. He's played a year pro in the NBL. Actually, he played 1 year with Wake Forest, 1 year college, Wake Forest, then went to the NBL for 1 year, then 1 year with the Detroit Pistons. So, he's a borderline late first, early second round pick. We had Ron Holland, fam, a first round pick. Dennis Jenkins, Shaz Lanier. Pretty good squad on Detroit. So, but at the same time, a lot of our guys are older prospects as well, and you want to see them play a lot better, especially. But look, overall, I felt after the slow start, the Knicks just couldn't make a big enough run and get back into the game. But I felt like the slow start was basically that was the undoing. That was the undoing, and try to get back into that game. Yeah, Seth Curry, I could see that. I think Seth Curry is a guy who could space the floor out, and we definitely need that spacing, fam. When it comes to that, like, I mean, 3-point ball, ladies and gentlemen, that opens things up a lot. The Knicks shoot 22% from downtown. But I did have a fear, because with this Summer League squad specifically, there's not a lot of shooters out there, fam. I mean, who's our best 3-point shooter in the starting lineup? Is it Kolek? Based off NBA, I think Kolek. McCullough is decent in the corners. McCullough is a solid corner shooter in college, but he's still, developing his shot. Dardier in the corners, I'll give you that. I think Dardier is definitely getting better with that situation. I like Dardier's ability to run the floor, run the wings, and finish in traffic with his length above the rim. Limited opportunities for Barber, Lucas Schuker, Anton Watson we did not see tonight. I do think Dink Pate's going to get a lot more burn. So he was kind of one of my more pleasant surprises. Diawara, Dink Pate, and Najee. Salute Cardiac. Everyone in the building, smash that like button. You've got the New York Summer League streets buzzing. Margaret says, yeah, Detroit will be tough. AP, we've got 2 roster spots to fill. One of them will be Diawara or Najee or McCullough, and the other one will be a veteran point guard. Now, Stephen Bondi has confirmed that basically the Knicks are looking for a point guard. More of a truer point guard, right? Now we have Jordan Clarkson putting in that work in the off season at the Summit New York gym, and just looking at our bench and how strong it's going to be, I feel like he and Deuce can create. Will be able to handle most of the point guard duties, but just having one more pass first backup point guard is critical. And I'm not at that point yet where I'm thinking about campaign, but campaign's not on the squad, and we need to replace that role. We need to replace, DeLon Wright. Maybe we bring back DeLon Wright. What do y'all think about that? James Bond says Seth's defense is poor as well. Yeah, that's my concern with Seth Curry. Definitely we need more athletes. We need more size. And look, if Mohamed Diawara can have himself a good summer league. I mean, did y'all see a couple of those possessions? Diawara had their guys in jail. We have some other latest news as well. Chris Persianen of Clutch Point says the Knicks have interest in adding Darvin Ham to the New York Knicks staff, as also reported by Mark Stein. Right. So Darvin Ham didn't have a great stint with LA as the head coach, but I think as an assistant coming in, look out for that. I think Darvin Ham is going to come in. It does look like Mike Brown is interested to bring him in. Unfortunately, James Borrego wasn't able to come through because New Orleans, the Pelicans, won't release him from his contract. Basically, it's a sideways step as he is the associate head coach over there. But it looks like Darvin Ham is most likely going to come through. I'm okay with that, as we can add more guys who have head coaching experience on the staff. We'll be fine. Also, looks like today, as Chris has also reported, that Dice Yoshimoto was still in the gym tonight. And so it does look like Dice could be a holdover to the new staff from Thibodeau's group of staff. So it looks like we'll have Dice, we'll have Mark Bryant, we'll have Darren Ehrman, we'll have Rick Brunson, we'll have Jordan Brink, and we'll also have Mo Cheeks. So a lot of holdovers right now. Mixed reactions on Darvin Ham. Right, not the name I was looking for, but I think if he's on the staff, that's okay for me. He's got the head coaching experience, but I would like Terry Stotts. Terry Stotts is a guy who, is really good offensively, creative minds. As we see Jalen Brunson on the billboard, seems like they're using Knicks on every single marketing right now. Every single piece of marketing with the NBA. You saw Carmelo Anthony shout out on the cover of 2K Legend Edition. Carmelo Anthony. They've got Jalen Brunson on the poster for Amazon Prime. The new NBA coverage coming up. And also his face all over Vegas right now. Who do y'all want for that backup spot, right? Right, not going to rule out Colette completely. He's on a real contract, so he's still going to be on the squad regardless. But we need a guy that's going to come in with that experience, right? Is it Malcolm Brogdon? Fam? Is it going to be like a CP3? Marcus Smart is a guy that the Knicks are monitoring, according to Stephen Bondi. Also, Stephen Bondi's reporting that Landry Shamet is still being considered by the New York Knicks brass. So we have not maybe seen the last of Landry Shamet fam. Can create a shot a little bit. Obviously, the vibes and the shooting and the defense would be, I think, welcome to bring back Landry back. But what happens if one of the point guards goes down? Like I said, the DeLon Wright and campaign minutes, that role hasn't been replaced yet. Clarkson, for me, Jordan Clarkson's more of a Shamet replacement as a scorer and shooter off the bench. Now Clarkson can create, 4 assists to 2 turnover ratio is solid, but we all know that he's looking for a bucket. He's looking for his shot. So we need a guy that's more pass first. And I'm not going to bury my man Kolek yet because he's still a pass first point guard. He's still on the squad. And once he's playing with better players around him, it's going to be night and day. But there are concerns, guys, on the defensive side. Johnny says Dink Pate was taller than I expected, more athletically inclined. Yeah, 6'8", coming at you downhill like a freight train. I think Dink Pate is going to have a couple of nice highlights as we go through Summer League. So I didn't, out of Najee, Diawara, and Dink Pate, I kind of walk away tonight like, okay, intrigued. Didn't see enough, but not bad or the other. Just I want to see more. Now, out of the starters, I would say Huck Porty and Dardier and McCullough. Solid. Get a pass. I think Dardier, Huck Porty, probably the two most consistent, and I think probably in the best position to earn minutes this season out of any of the younger guys. I think Dardier and Huck Porty. Beauchamp, want to see how he bounces back in the second game. But Kolek, the most disappointing in game 1. McCullough had his moments, missed a couple of bunnies, but I think he has potential to stick out on this squad this season and be developed. So that's my major takeaway. But look, they all need to be held accountable because defensively, man, it was rough. Letting shooters stay open, and those guys were able to get downhill too easily as well. But look, Detroit's got some talent. The Knicks missed out on Phil Handy as he is joining the Dallas Mavericks. So he was a name that the Knicks had potential interest in bringing in, but he will be headed to Dallas, right? Alongside Popeye Jones, reports Mark Stein. So that is something to look out for now that the New York Knicks have some spots to fill on their coaching staff, right? Maybe there'll be some other names come out of left field, right? Johnny Bryant looks like will stay in Cleveland, right? Now, on the trade rumor front, looks like the Chicago Bulls could be potentially moving on from Ayo Dosunmu or Kobe White. Ayo Dosunmu is a wing that can handle and create with 12.3 points, 4.5 assists this season, right? On a contending team, Dosunmu could thrive as a second unit lead guard. I really like Ayo Dosunmu, man. I know we're looking at the free agent market on the vet minimum, but keep a lookout. If someone shakes loose that the Knicks really like, they might get in on those conversations, right? Ayo Dosunmu is a bigger guard with size and defensive potential, great defensive potential. So he's a name that I really like. Anthony Slater on The Athletic, Cats and Shoot podcast with Fred Katz, says Mike Brown really wanted OG Anunoby before the New York Knicks got him. So Mike Brown's coming in here and he's going to get some defenders that he hasn't had in the past, especially on Sacramento. And I don't think OG Anunoby or Mikal Bridges are going to be going anywhere, fam. They are on this squad. and I don't think that they're going to get moved right now. Looks like LeBron James stuck in LA for the time being, right? And he might get a buyout. I doubt it though, but it's hard to see him forcing his way out, man. After opting in to the 50 million. Yeah, AO says Johnny. AO, big yes to AO. We might have our own AO though. Pacome Dardier, Kevin McCullough. Let's see how that plays out. Now the NBA Cup group draw came out the other day. The Knicks are in the same group as Charlotte, Chicago, Miami Heat, Milwaukee Bucks. Fam, what do you think about that? Is this the Knicks' best pathway to Vegas? Right. Made the quarterfinals 2 times in a row now, but haven't been able to get past to the semifinals and make Vegas right now. I think the Knicks got to be favorites in Group East C. Right. Charlotte should be a win. Chicago, Miami, and probably Milwaukee going to be the toughest game. But if the Knicks win all of their games, they will top the group and qualify for the quarterfinals of the NBA Cup. Man, I want us to win the Atlantic Division as well and win a banner. That would be a good start to the season, I think. Like I said earlier, NBA on Amazon Prime got the future stars of the game, including Jalen Brunson there. So shout outs to Brunson, man. Definitely getting more props around the NBA media. But a big, big season ahead as the New York Knicks are favorites in the East, right? And it starts tonight. It starts with our evaluation of some of these younger players, fam. When we're, evaluating these guys, it's through the lens of these guys might be needed to back up the Eastern Conference favorites at some point during the season. And that's what we're also looking at. Yeah, overall, guys, for me, pass for Huckporty, Dardier, and McCullough. I want to see better from Beauchamp and Kolek. When it comes to Dink Pate, Diawara, and Naji, I'm intrigued. I thought they did okay, held their own at most points. But yeah, overall the team is lacking some scoring and shot creation. So we might see more of some spaces out there. Luka Shuka. We might see Day Day. Shouts out to Day Day. I think he hit a couple of threes, to help improve the Knicks' percentage from downtown. But yeah, overall the Knicks got 4 more Summer League games, and I think we'll see how they bounce back. Now, the next game is on Sunday against Boston. So we are going to be up against Boston. We're ticking off all the teams that we beat in the playoffs, fam. It's Detroit first round. Then who did we play in the second round? It was Boston. So NBA giving us Detroit and Boston. That was a slightly earlier tip-off at 5:30 p.m. Also on NBA TV. Now, if you're able to subscribe to ESPN Plus, you'll be able to watch all of the Summer League games. If you're outside of New York, I think you'll still get it on NBA TV League Pass as well. Yeah, frustrating game. I think the slow start hurt the Knicks. Detroit got into a groove. And defensively, we need to tighten up. Yeah, James, Tokyo Drift just got 1 minute, as I predicted during the previous couple of streams. I said, Barber would be a guy that's, a veteran to help come in and, and be that experience on the bench. But I don't think Barber was coming in here to be a player that the Knicks are looking at. Kind of a lot of people did overreact, I felt, to the Barber signing. He's a 29-year-old, using this as a showcase to try to get a contract in a professional league. He's been playing in Japan, but also rightfully so. The Knicks should be prioritizing their own guys. This is NBA Summer League. I think maybe in the fourth or fifth game we can, put the Q in the rack and let some of the other guys get a shot. But for the most part, the first 3-4 games, the Knicks should be playing their guys heavy minutes because they're competing. They're competing for first impressions with the brand new coach. They're competing maybe for their next contract. They're competing to prospective teams watching as well. There's trade talk still going on. Other GMs and everyone's watching, man. This is NBA Summer League right now. Everyone's paying attention, right? I did think it was very, very noteworthy that they were mentioning. I think it was it Jared or Greg Anthony mentioned, the contract of Tyler Kolek, the most expensive second round draft pick in history, man. They love to bring up players' contracts, and Tyler Kolek, he needs a better performance. Getting paid like the best second round pick. We'll see how Kolek does, but I think that is just an unfortunate circumstance that Kolek didn't get. He didn't get more minutes last season. He should have got some opportunities, during the season, especially during some blowouts. I think Kolek could have got more time, but he's 24 now, older prospect. Hopefully, we can bring in some more ball handling. He continues to develop, be that somebody who can be a mentor for him as well. I don't know physically if he's going to be able to, change drastically. Like, I don't know if Tyler Kolek's going to be able to, put on a whole heap of muscle or maybe get a little bit stronger. But I think he's got to be able to shake off that defender and, and find those guys and be more disciplined with his passes. So what do y'all think about Kolek? Jason Benjamin with the super chat. Appreciate it, Jason. Kolek will be fine. He played well with the starters last season. He's only played really with Huck last year, and he's playing with 3 new guys. He's okay. Shout out to Jason Benjamin with the super chat. I agree. I think Kolek is a guy who's, in a spot where he's not forced to. We're not forcing him to play, when he's not ready. We're a contending team now. I think Kolek is just got to, be a sponge, just pick up, absorb, and continue to get better every single day. Continue to get better. We already know what he's great at. He's a great floor general. Find guys. Has that knack of finding the corner shooters, which we really need because we do have a lot of corner shooters. Unfortunately, just not on the Summer League squad. As we bring up, so I bring up the box score once again. How many dimes did Kolek finish with? Kolek dished out 8 dimes, so 10 points, 8 dimes. Unfortunately, with the 5 turnovers. But when it comes to Kolek, what are some key things that you feel like can separate him to get regular minutes, to force his way into an NBA rotation? What do y'all think he has to, lock down and to get those NBA minutes, right? Is it just a matter of situation? He's got a brand new coach now, and we've seen, Mike Brown's system in Sacramento likes to get up and down, likes to increase the passing, increase the passes per game. Theoretically, all of those things should fit well with Mike Brown for Tyler Kolek's game because, Brown wants to play faster and we don't have a whole lot of ball handlers. So, for that to happen, Brunson needs to get a rest, And I feel like if Kolek can come in, if we don't bring in a veteran, assuming we will, but if we don't bring in a veteran point guard, let's say we bring in a wing, we bring in another big. I think that would be a vote of confidence for Tyler Kolek. But when you're going into a season where it's championship or bust, it's a situation where they might need to go for more experience. You've got a DeLon Wright who could do a bit of both from last season. Maybe they look at bringing in DeLon Wright back. Margaret says he has to defend. Yep, I think that would be right at the top. Be really consistent at what he's good at. Steve says he lacks the athleticism to be an NBA guy. Move on from him now. I think they're not going to do that because the value. I think they need to do a little bit more to get his value, and show what he can do for GMs around the league. I think moving on from him now would just be a sunken cost, and I think they are going to take a little bit more time to evaluate him, unless it's like you can find a guy that you think fits your system a lot better. But I think with the Knicks' lack of ball handlers right now, I could see Kolek staying at least for another year and see if he can develop further. But yeah, like Margaret said, defensively is going to be key. You do have to be able to hold your own on that side of the floor and defend at an okay level. The other thing is 3-point shooting. For me personally, guys, what do y'all see in the 3-point column next to Kolek's name? 0 of 5 from downtown. Had a couple of nice looks. I think that would be a nice wrinkle to his game. To be a point guard now in the NBA, as we're looking at these highlights of Jordan Clarkson, the bucket, you have to be respected as an offensive player on the court. So if Kolek might struggle getting around the guy or creating, but if he can knock down the three, the pull-up three or catch and shoot off ball, that could allow him to get more minutes. 0 of 5 from downtown was definitely a struggle. Beauchamp 0 of 4 as well. Dardier knocked down 1 of 3. I definitely buy stock in Dardier's 3-point shot over the other guys. I think Dardier's 3-point shot, it looks fluid, better mechanics than everybody else. He came in with that reputation of being a better offensive player than all of the other Knicks draft picks. So I think from that perspective, nothing's changed. We walk away from year 2, guys, Summer League Game 1. Pacome Dardier still is holding it down as the first round draft pick, in my opinion, overall. And we keep moving. We keep moving from there. But yeah, I like the potential of Dardier. Dardier, we know that Ariel Hukporti is a great pickup, a steal, and he's going to factor in. He's under a real contract now. I think this year is going to be a make or break for Kevin McCullough and possibly for Tyler Kolek. But I can see us moving ahead with Hukporti and Dardier, definitely. I think something will have gone really wrong if Dardier and Hukporti aren't in our future plans at the end of this season still. I believe in their futures a lot. Johnny says that explosive energy with Kolek. Margaret says he's a smart guy. He will work on his game. Yep. And like I said, one thing, Samuel says, but does Kolek really matter? Clarkson is already a good second ball handler. I think, yeah, you got Deuce and Clarkson, and I think there is still that spot for more of a floor general, a guy who can get downhill with the ball as well. We saw the playoffs, the more ball handlers you can have, the better. But yeah, if Kolek can knock down those open threes, I think he'll get opportunities. The next thing is obviously, defense. we've seen a lot of poor defensive players still get minutes. So if Colette can just be dynamite offensively, knock down threes, and and rack up the assists, he'll be fine. I think he'll be fine. Super chat through next up with Jason Benjamin. Appreciate it, Jason. Keeping the streets buzzing. Dardier needs to find minutes this year. He played very aggressive and played good defense. He has a really good shooting form and can finish at the rim. Solid. Agree with all of that, Jason. You see the flashes. You see a higher upside. You see a player that could help us right now as well. So far so good with Pacome Dardier. He might be one more year away from like heavier minutes, but I could see, in case of injuries and maybe, Mike Brown wanting to play a deeper rotation, Mikal Bridges' minutes hopefully go down a little bit. I think this is a great opportunity for a guy like Pacome Dardier. Also, one thing I want to say with him, Kolek, and all of these guys, it's hard to really get into a rhythm when you're playing with different guys all the time. Because, when you're in a position where you know who you're playing with and you're in a set rotation, you could feed off of each other. You could feed off their tendencies. Right now, they did look a little bit disjointed. And it's even more difficult when the Detroit Pistons defense was tough. But I think they'll shake it off. They've got to play a little bit more inside out, in my opinion. Right now, they're a little bit too side to side. I want us to play through Huck Porty a little bit more. Maybe that was more of a Tibbs thing with Isaiah Hartenstein. How do y'all feel about playing through Huck Porty a little bit more as a hub with his size and length and playmaking instincts? D. Linder says Dardier, McCullough, and Huck are ready to help the Knicks. They're gonna get great opportunities. I think Mike Brown will play 9-10 men. As these guys were on the sidelines looking at the talent on display. Don't forget, guys, just game one. Just one game tonight. Let's see how they look in the other ones. Johnny says CT, rate the potential of today's players. Let me categorize them, fam. I'll put them into tiers right now. I think first category, best case scenario, is long-term Knicks player, contributor on a winning team. And I would put Pacome Dardier, Ariel Hukporti in that category. Probably just those two for now. This is just how I see it for the current day, my potential. So first tier is Pacome Dardier, Ariel Hukporti as long-term future Knicks contributors on a winning team. Next category is solid floor, potential to be a longer-term Knick and a contributing bench player. And I'm going to put I'll put Diawara and I'll put Ding Pate. Actually, no, I'll put Diawara, Kolek, and McCullough. And I'll leave Beauchamp out for now, just because I don't know of his contract status. But in the second tier, I'll put Kolek, Diawara, and Kevin McCullough, as they have, like, I know what they're capable of. They have a solid floor in terms of Diawara can be a defensive stopper. Kolek could be an excellent backup point guard. McCullough can be a two-way player, a solid two-way player. But I don't know if their ceiling is going to be as high as the other two, so I'll put them in the second tier in terms of, a solid floor. If they can put it together, they'll have a shot to stick around. Third category, I'll put intriguing, but could be a year or two away from further evaluation. I'll put Ding Pate, James Nagy. in that one, fam. And Marjan Beauchamp, I think he's basically playing for his, you know, Knicks career right now. I don't know if he's eligible on the two-way. The Knicks are looking for more ball handling, so we have more wings on this squad. He really has to separate himself, I think. Just to be completely honest, I think Beauchamp has to pop off the page because this is what his third, fourth summer league now, and I think for him to stick on the Knicks specifically, and I can't comment on his future NBA career because he has the talent. He has the talent to stick on a team and to be in the NBA. But I do think Beauchamp's playing for his New York Knicks future with this current summer league situation. Uh, there's a lot of mouths to feed right now, and I think if Marjan Beauchamp has a great four more games and separates himself from some of these other Knicks, the Knicks could definitely bring him back. And hopefully he does do that. Hopefully he does show that, he's a elite 3-and-D wing that can contribute right away. Samuel says Dardier can become a light skin OG in a few years. I think Dardier, you really see first round pick talent, with his game. He just needs more playing time. Just needs more playing time to get it together. James says Kolek, a 3-point king in 2K25. Definitely, if he can continue to work on that three ball, I want to see it fall for Tyler. All right, especially his ability to make those great passes. I mean, remember some of the passes Kolek was making last year in summer league and in the NBA? They were legit. Jason Benjamin with another super chat. Appreciate it, fam. Buzzing tonight. McCullough just needs to work on his shot, and he will be an interesting rotation player. Plays like Josh Hart, in my opinion. Beauchamp played well tonight. We have wings. We definitely got the wings, Jason, and I think it's a competition right now. Who's ahead of who right now? You got Hart, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, and they're competing. They're competing for backup minutes. Here's Beauchamp. Excellent in transition. I think that's one of his strengths. At 6'7", 6'8", and a very, very fluid athlete is Marjan Beauchamp. But yeah, I've talked about this a lot. I'm very high on Kevin McCullough. I followed him closely as a prospect, during college, during his season at Kansas. And I just see a lot of flashes of a two-way player. And I really like two-way players. And I also like Marjan Beauchamp's potential, to be that in the NBA. I don't think I've seen enough of him yet as a New York Knick. But yeah, hopefully he can put it all together for these next 4 more remaining games. If you're a draft scout or a coach and analysis, you're looking at Beauchamp to be like, okay, what's that skill that's going to keep him in the league? It's his size, athleticism, but it should be defensively disruptive. The 3-point ball. He also went 0-4 tonight. So if he can start to knock a couple of those threes down, I do think Beauchamp could separate himself. But you want to see McCullough knock down some of those threes as well. So we do have those wings, but we need them to knock down some of those threes. And right now, the closest 3-and-D guy I see is Dardier. Pacome Dardier finishing here above the rim, fam. What a finish, this one. The guy's got a good wingspan and leap. Almost hits his head on the rim. One of our youngest players, 19, about to turn 20 later this month, fam. So he's too young to drink. He's too young to have a drink out in Vegas, which is a good thing because Pacome Dardier, I think, is going to come in here and have an impressive showing, fam. So if I'm to foreshadow after tonight, if I'm to foreshadow who's going to be the talking point out of Summer League, it's the guy on the thumbnail, Pacome Dardier. After game one, I thought he flashed the highest potential. 8 of 13, efficient from the field, good in transition, had a nice off-ball cut, a live body. Just he's always moving. That's great for the teammates. You never want to see your teammates stagnant. So I think Mike Brown watching, man. Mike Brown been wanting some wings on Sacramento when he was there. He wanted the Kings to get OG Anunoby. But not only that, he comes in here with OG, McCall, Dardier, Hart, Beauchamp, Diawara. Too. Diawara, man. Biggest shot of the game. Longest shot of the game. With the heave. Money. Didn't celebrate, though. So Diawara, we got our first look at him. Saw some defensive flashes. People talking that he was a lot bigger than they expected. But yeah, I watched a lot of extensive highlights, and Diawara is a guy who could play. He could guard 1 through 5. 6'9", 7'4" wingspan. I mean, he has the potential to be a defensive Pascal Siakam. A defensive menace with his wingspan. What did y'all see from Diawara tonight? Johnny says, excellent responses, CT. Thanks for the tiered choices. Yeah, we got you, fam. We got you here. Streets are always buzzing with y'all in the house. Appreciate everyone rocking with us tonight. Yeah, excited for Sunday. Game 2. I think there'll be less nerves. Guys do become more familiar with each other as the Summer League progresses. Remember last season we did start slow as well. Hopefully they can get out these jitters and can really show what they can do. But so far, I like what I saw from Pacome Dardier. I thought, let's talk a little bit more about Ariel Hukporti, because, man, he was definitely challenging some shots, was Huck. But there always stays in the play, right? So my biggest thing about Hukporti is that sometimes you just can't teach, and this does affect your draft stock. Is high motor, and he's got the skills around the basket, passing, shot blocking, rebounding. The thing that could ultimately separate Hukporti to being a long-time NBA player is he's got an incredible motor, man. He's always in the play, sets multiple picks, and is hungry to set more picks and then roll hard to the basket. So this is a guy who's got a lot of professional experience, and he's been coached up by a lot of coaches. No doubt they've told Hukporti, like, listen, the fundamentals you've got down pat, but what's going to stick you in the league is just you got to outwork the other guy. You just got to outwork your opponent and just be relentless. And we saw that when Hukporti got chances in the league, very few chances under Coach Tibbs. But when he did play, heavier minutes, he was all over the court, man. He was outrunning everybody. Brunson for the alley-oop. He would, always roll to the basket. Sometimes they would ignore him and miss him, but he would just keep rolling, man. And so I think we're going to see a breakout game from Hukporti during this summer league situation, and hopefully this season, man, he takes that next step in his development. I think he can definitely earn 15 minutes a night, right? Out of what I saw from Naji and Hukporti, like, it's tough to evaluate just off a small sample with Naji, but Hukporti definitely looks like the way more ready pro for the NBA minutes. Naji still has potential, but I did think that, Hukporti definitely looked like he's ahead of James Naji. Jason with the next super chat. on his comments on Diawara and Naji. Even Diawara Naji flashed length and athleticism. They need some work, but you can tell Leon is taking a gamble on young and long athletic defenders. 100%. I think athletes, you can never have enough. Defenders, you can never have enough as well. So I think they're solid flyers on those prospects, especially Diawara. Anytime you can get a positionless defender, and in referring to Naji, he's obviously going to be predominantly a 5, and is a 5. But with Diawara, he looks like a blank canvas right now. Diawara he looks super raw, but he looks like he could be a 3-and-D wing if the 3-point ball comes. And he also looks like he can guard power forwards and could be a future power forward in the league like a Siakam. And he can also switch on to 5s, which is really super valuable when it comes to that. Another guy who we know is true position, man, Pacome Dardier. Here he does knock down the corner 3, knock down 1 of 3 tonight. Look at that jump shot, man. Pretty, super high release, perfect sort of elevation, no hitch right there. If you're learning a jump shot, man, I think Pacome Dardier's got excellent mechanics. Excellent, right? He almost gets that sort of torque as a cockback. Yep, when he loads up that jump shot and a perfect flick of the wrist as well. So if there's one skill that really pops this season for Pacome Dardier, if he can be a corner spacer and substitute for Mikal Bridges directly for that spot and play solid defense, hey, that's 3-and-D loading up. That's 3-and-D loading up right away in his sophomore season. Don't forget, he's only about to turn 20 later this month as well. Already got an NBA ready body. Now he could do with some bulking up, a bit more and strengthening. But right now he's got a body able to play in the NBA. I think just Pacome. So highest potential for me. But like Jason says here, once again, appreciate y'all with the super chat contribution and joining us tonight. Leon Rose taking a gamble on young, longer, athletic defenders. Yep. Switchable defenders as well. When you've got guys like Kolek and, Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns, some guys that can struggle defensively, the more guys you can surround them with defensive, physical profile and tools, the better right now. And speaking of defensive tools, great to see our New York OGs supporting, fam, being like unks to these nephews out here, Deuce McBride and Mikal Bridges, but with Karl Anthony Towns, Mike Brown on the right, soaking in the Summer League experience with this one, y'all. One thing that's chalk and cheese, man, is Kolek to Hakpority. We saw that all last Summer League. We saw it during the season a little bit. I want to see for Game 2, I want to see more of this ESP, in the words of Clyde, with Kolek and Hakpority. They are going to carry the starting 5, in my opinion, together with Dardier. So if they can have this as maybe their worst game of Summer League and build up and get better every single game, then that's what we want to see, right, from this here out. I thought they made some poor passes early in the first quarter, especially a lot of sloppy play. But that's to be expected. Things can happen when you haven't been together for very long. Now, in terms of the rest of the squad, right, favorites in the East coming through. We've got 2 spots to fill. Who put their best foot forward for that final rookie spot? Was it Diawara? Was it Naji? Or was it Kevin McCullough? Out of all of the guys that don't have a regular roster spot yet, fam, who put their best foot forward to get that rookie spot? Because we all know with the 2 roster spots to fill, the Knicks can add 1 more veteran, and they can only add to stay under the second apron a second round rookie, a second round pick, or first year rookie. Right, it can't be Beauchamp. He's eligible for a 2-way, or he's eligible for the veteran spot, which would be quite a surprise for me. But in terms of locking down that rookie spot to stay under the second apron, man, I do think it's going to be Kevin McCullough. Fam, for me, I think it's going to be Kevin McCullough. He had a couple of nice finishes in transition, taking his man off the dribble, and he has that in his bag. So we got this nice transition basket with Beauchamp. Like I said, Beauchamp's still pressing for that veteran spot, but it's going to be interesting. He might end up on a 2-way if he's eligible, but I don't think he's going to be due to the 3-year minimum requirements. But I do think Kevin McCullough's stat line and his ability to be a 2-way player and slash to the basket, I think would be solid. Could be like a Josh Hart light. Like the chat was saying, like Jason said earlier as well, in regards to Kevin McCullough. Now, 5 of 14, that little inefficient, but obviously I'm okay with that because, you know, he got up 14 shots. You know, that's what you want to see. This is the time for these guys to get their shots up. Hit both of his free throws, looked solid at the free throw line. Got 6 rebounds, 3 offensive, 3 defensive. Got 3 assists and a steal. 13 points for Kevin McCullough Jr. So I think you see a lot of flashes that he can stuff the stat sheet. Just like a Josh Hart, fam, when it comes to Kevin McCullough. See if I can upload his highlights now. We get more of his shots in. So we had Kevin McCullough. He had one of those reverse layups as well. I'll bring this up. Runs the floor really well. Got a nice little crossover. Goes left. Yep, I like that one. I'll bring that one up. And here he gets the steal as well. So I'm going to load up the Kevin McCullough highlight reel. And for me, he should get one of the final 2 spots on the roster. I think he can contribute in a pinch. Nice outlet to Tyler Kolek with that one. With the steal and great outlet. This one, he goes to work on his defender, goes left. As the Knicks actually get up the court quickly with this one, right? Nice outlet for Kolek. McCullough surveys the floor, sees the open floor, and a pathway to the basket with the reverse layup over Bobby Clintman. So that is Kevin McCullough's number 1 strength, guys, on the offensive side, is slashing to the basket. Very similar to Josh Hart. But what was impressive on this one is he uses the left. See, he can go right, he can go left. Nice hezzy dribble, crossover into the hezzy, and sees the open floor. So he's not a elite athlete, but he's not a bad athlete either. He's sort of like he's an okay, solid athlete. He's quite fluid, especially in transition. Is Kevin McCullough Jr. Beats his man up the floor. The help defender comes in to seal off the layup. He resets, takes it back out, and finishes with the reverse. So some flashes from Huckporty, Dardier, and McCullough in this one. Want to see more from Beauchamp and Tyler, the creator, coming up in the second game. But we need a lot more baskets like that. We need to get out and run, fam, because with limited shot creation, the ability to get easier baskets is something that the big club needs. That's something that the bigger club needs, even. So I'm not surprised at all that these guys are sort of in a similar situation, right? And this could have been the highlight play of the game as I bring this man up. Ariel Hukporti, man, his standing vertical is a cheat code, fam. And his ability to rise up upstairs and meet Smith. That guy was a good player tonight for Detroit, man. Smith. But no, not on the huck. And he runs the floor right after that. That's what you love to see. Loose ball, runs the floor, never out of the play, man. Does a lot of the dirty work. Does Ariel Hukporti when he's out there on the floor, man. A solid two-way big. And I think he could be steal of the draft from last season. Should have played a lot more. Let's keep it a buck. Ariel Hukporti could have helped the Knicks a lot throughout the regular season, but it took a while for Thibodeau, to warm up to the rookie, and obviously he was given that veteran preferential treatment to Jericho Sims. But under Mike Brown, loves Trey Lyles, he loves Domantas Sabonis, and I think he's going to love Ariel Hukporti. And on the Trey Lyles front, a lot of people are speculating that Trey Lyles could be the guy that is a shot to take the final veteran spot. Would be a floor spacing big. Could guard fours, guard fives. I don't know how he would go guarding some threes. I would have to check out more of the film. But Trey Lyles, I think, would be an okay veteran add. But I do think that they're most likely going to fill it with a ball handling a player that can create and set up his teammates a lot more. What do you think about that, guys? Real King says, how many of these guys will make the roster, fam? Hukporti, definitely. Pacome Dardier and Kolek, definitely. And I do think that McCullough will probably be the other one. I think Najee will be on a two-way together with Dink Pate. James says, Cat going to play like Sabonis under Mike Brown. Can't wait to see if that's the case. I do think Mike Brown's going to hold Cat a lot more accountable, but he's going to be getting him more active offensively, no doubt. With the three-point ball, we know the pick and roll game with the straight line drives, Cat can thrive at as well, especially with more floor spacing, fam. A lot of the Cat straight line drives were hindered with Josh Hart out on the floor because, there would always be a wing getting in the way and hovering around Cat. I think if we have like a Clarkson, Mikal, OG, Brunson, and Cat lineup, like fully spaced out, 5-out spacing, I do think we're gonna see beast mode Karl Anthony Towns. Like that, he already had maybe one of the best offensive seasons of his career, and that was under Tibbs. Put that with real floor spacing around with Mike Brown and a more up tempo pace. Man, we might see first team All NBA Karl Anthony Towns. No lie. If the Knicks coming in with the number one offense in the East, Karl Anthony Towns is probably going to be averaging. Man, just take the overs. Karl Anthony Towns, I won't be surprised if he averages like 30 a game, 28 a game, man. Especially if the 3-point attempts, can go up. Ryan says, Cole Kolek has some of that LaMelo in him, or he likes to experiment and try things, which can sometimes lead to turnovers, especially with lower quality players around him. Yep, Kolek has some of that LaMelo in him. Yep. He likes to get a little loose with the passes, but agree, the quality of players around you are key. And look, Detroit's defense tonight, they were in every single passing lane. And so you have to be careful with what pass you throw, when you pass it. And also, are your teammates ready for the pass? Are they paying attention? Are they in position to do something when you pass it to them as well? So a lot of coaches blame the player making the pass for a turnover, but sometimes the player isn't expecting the pass, but you have to be ready. These are the examples of the Knicks thriving tonight in transition. The Knicks got their buckets in transition for the most part. Push it off of makes. And I thought Detroit was actually, got caught sleeping a lot of the time. Here, Kolek's got no pressure. Bang. Great pass up to Kolek. These are some of the things that Jalen Brunson didn't have the fortune of doing in the NBA playoffs, because every single time Indiana made a basket or Detroit made a basket in the playoffs, the defender would find Brunson immediately. You see that guy, he turns his back on Kolek. Clintman turns his back on Tyler Kolek in order to find. See, no one's picking up Kolek. Kolek points to McCullough, but no, McCullough makes the outlet run. And here they're on the right page. So you got to push it after a make. And you see Detroit's defense is lost on that one. No one's back to protect the rim. And we need to see more of that, guys. If we're going to play with 4 smaller players and 1 big, you got to run the floor like this and get those buckets in transition. So I think under Mike Brown, we are going to get a lot more better in transition. Will we see a lot more of maybe the dual point guard lineups? Hopefully. I think by far the player that was underutilized the most was probably Deuce McBride. Fam, just from a minutes perspective. There were so many times where he could have played some minutes with the starting units together with Brunson. A dual pull-up threat as well from above the break. Once you got that floor spacing gravity, the defense is in trouble, especially with some bigs like OG and Cat that can post up. So I do think we need to tap into more of the shooters that we have above the break, and also with Deuce and Brunson, we can push the tempo. Like, let's say off a make, Brunson doesn't have to loiter around and wait for the inbound pass. He can just get up the floor, and Deuce can be the one to come in and grab the inbound and run it up. Run it up. The playoffs, man, they were frustrating for so many ways. We had a lot of success in the half court because we have elite half court players. However, the amount of times Brunson would be picked up by, Orsar Thompson and picked up by, Derek White, picked up by TJ McConnell, that slowed our offense down to 100. And McCall's lack of, ball handling and playmaking really hurt in terms of with that lineup specifically. If Deuce was next to Brunson, like I said, either or of those two guys can race down the floor, and the other one could take the pressure off with some ball handling, and some playmaking. So we bring in Clarkson. I think that's going to be such an underrated, huge, signing with Jordan Clarkson, because he's going to be able to play, with the starters as well and close games out. And he's obviously going to be like a 6-man, type guy. 16 points per game. I won't be surprised if that goes up on a winning team. And obviously, I think him and Hart are going to thrive together as well in transition. Yabusele, 80% from the field in transition. He's an excellent transition player. We know Huck Porty is an excellent transition player, especially if he's the backup big. And I think our bench, man, it's going to go from like, how many points did we average last season, man? Like probably 6 to 8 points a game off the bench or something. We're going to average 25 points per game at least, I think, off the bench. From bench players, next season. So with that said, man, lots to look forward to this season. Obviously, Summer League Game 1 is in the books, and we reacted. Unfortunately, didn't get the win, but we're looking at the key takeaways that we can take from this one. Solid showing from Dardier, Huck Porty, McCullough. Flashes from Merjan Beauchamp, Dink Pay, Diawara. And we want to see more of Kolek and Naji. And these guys show that they can really impact winning. And we move ahead, guys. We'll be live post-game again. Back at it on Sunday night. 5:30 tip. This one. But those were our key takeaways. Try not to overreact, but still need to react and give you the reaction of what we saw, because this is a prime opportunity. Prime opportunity for these guys to stake their claim now in front of a brand new coach. And like I said, some of them are playing for spots on the squad. Some of them are playing for minutes, potentially, in the case of Huck Porty and Kolek and Dardier, right? I thought McCullough was, solid. I thought, Mike Brown will see things in McCullough's game that he will like and maybe bring out. And I think he might round out the full squad. So, appreciate y'all for rocking with us tonight. Got the streets buzzing, and appreciate everyone for their comments, questions. Jason Benjamin with the super chats, and Yuri Ark for the contributions, guys. Appreciate y'all, and everyone coming through. Salute to Replay Squad, and we'll see you on Sunday post game for more evaluations and breakdowns from Game 2 of Summer League against Boston. Peace, everyone.